Of birth?
My full name is Jean Ray Richardson, register Waits.
And your date
My
of birth?
birthday is October the 2nd, 1925. I was born in Wilson, North Carolina.
How about siblings? How many brothers and sisters did you have?
I have one whole brother, one half brother, and two half sisters. My mother died when I was real young, and she left a son, Clarence, and myself. And my daddy remarried to a lady that already had been married before and had a son named Bill. And together they had Shirley, Bessie, and Steve Jr. Richardson.
And what was your childhood like?
Well, my childhood was all right until I got about 9 years old when my stepmother passed away. When she passed away, she left her 3 children, plus my brother and myself, and her son Bill. And my baby brother was a year and a half, no, he was 7 months old when she died. And me being the oldest daughter, I had to handle everything. I had to take care of the family. Had to do the cooking and cleaning and trying to take care of them, plus trying to go to school. It was not an easy job.
And how was your health when you were a child?
As far as I know, my health was all right. I don't remember having anything physically wrong except, well, I've never had anything really physically wrong, but I did get real sick when I went to visit an aunt in Virginia. I think it was the measles I had, but I didn't know what it was. But I was real sick.
And how about your present health?
My present health seems to be pretty good. I was 81 the 2nd of October. I've had a pacemaker put in, and I've had an artificial knee. And other than that, I've been fairly healthy.
When did you marry?
I married in 1942. I had met my husband I was a welder at the Air Force Base out in Baker, Louisiana. Harding Field it was named. I met him there. His name was Jerry Woodrow Register. I married him in 42.
And you had children with him?
I had Stanley, Ronnie, and Dorita.
And any other marriages?
And then we stayed together for a while, but it was not meant to be. He was a good daddy, but he wasn't a very good husband. He just wasn't a good mate for me. So I divorced him, and I think I stayed by myself about 3 years. And then I met this man by the name of James Dawson Waits, and we fell in love, and we got married. And we stayed married. We got married, and for 5 years, then he got killed. So that left me with 5 children. I had 2 children for him. I had a son named James Dawson Waits Jr., and I had a daughter named Dawn Anitha Waits.
Have you ever smoked?
Never smoked.
How about alcohol?
Well, I drank a few beers every now and then. I used to, or I go out. I don't be a prude when I go out with someone. But no, I'm not. I'm not a drinker. But I believe if I had been a drinker, I'd been an alcoholic, because all the problems you have, sometimes you have a tendency to bury yourself. But I just stayed busy instead of doing that.
Were you a physically active child?
I didn't have a childhood. I was physically active because I had to wash clothes and cook and clean and tend to children. So, no, I have no childhood.
How about games? What kind of games did you play?
Well, when Mother was living, we did play. We played paper dolls. We played hide and go seek. We played May I, and we played jacks. I love to play jacks and marbles and jump rope. And one time we had some children came over. We had a party. They made some candy. We had a pull candy party. And you make the candy and you pull it until it gets like taffy. And you twist it, but your hands are real hot, so you have to keep your hands greased with butter to pull it.
Have you ever been into exercise?
I've never been really into physically activity as far as exercise is concerned, no. I went one time with a friend, Miss Butler, to a Y in Baton Rouge, and we got in one of them stream things, and I like to pass out. And no, I'm just not an exercise person.
How about sports?
Played basketball a little while when I was a young girl. I could trace back just a little bit. My daddy at one time did put us in a boarding school, a Baptist boarding school, up in the mountains of North Carolina. And it was hard for him to find somebody to take care of us because he was a railroad man.
How about hobbies?
I sew a lot. So I like to sew. I never did have any hobbies until I quit working. After my husband got killed, I had to get a profession. So I went to beauty school, and I had a beauty shop for over 50 years.
That was going to be my next question. Have you ever worked?
Yes, I worked. I have worked as a waitress. I worked as a waitress downtown on 3rd Street at Baker's. Then I worked at Harding Field as a welder. I've been a cashier at a shoe store on 3rd Street, Carl's Shoe Store. I was a waitress at the King Hotel. I have, at one time when I separated from my first husband, I went to a little town named Iowa in Louisiana, up close to Lake Charles, and I was an agent for the little town as a switchboard operator. They had a switchboard, about the size of a pretty good sized cabinet, and you had the things across the front that you had to put in. The switchboard had holes all up there with the telephone numbers of everybody, and when somebody would call, you'd have to plug in and connect them to the person. And during that time, they had a lot of oil wells, fields around in Louisiana, and every time they'd have a field to come in, I'd have to get up and call the home office. That didn't sit too well with me with 3 children, so I didn't stay there very long.
Roughly what year was that?
Dorita was about 3 years old then, 3 or 4. So I don't know. I don't know the dates.
What's the limit of your education?
Well, when Mother died, I was in the 8th grade, and I tried to go back to school, but it was not meant to be because my baby brother had asthma, and when he'd get real sick, they'd call me from school to come get him, and I'd have to take him home and take care of him because he couldn't. There was no way he could function at home by himself because he was too young. And so I'd have to stay home with him, and I missed so much school. I quit school. I went to the 9th grade, but I never completed it.
Can you tell me a little bit about some of your early memories?
Like what?
Well, many people remember a critical event that happened in their life. They remember where they were and what they were doing. Myself, for instance, I remember I was in the 6th grade in 1962 when John Kennedy was assassinated, and they came into the classroom and told us about it. I also remember when the first man walked on the moon. I remember where I was and what I was doing. Were there ever any events that happened in your lifetime that you remember early?
There's one special event I remember when President Franklin Delano Roosevelt was running for president. My daddy was a railroad man, and he took us down to the train station in Raleigh because he was coming through the towns. He was running against Herbert Hoover, I think. I'm not sure, but there was another person running against him. But he came through town, and we went down to see him, and he was standing on the back end of a train talking to everybody. So I remember that. I was young. I remember during the war, when the war broke out, that we didn't have stockings. All the silk was used for parachutes, so we had to use nylon. That's when nylon was first invented. So some of the things like that I remember.
What are some of your favorite foods?
Well, my favorite food is, I hate to say it, but I really like cabbage. And I'm not too fond of some things. I like little butter beans. I like cornbread, and I like milk. I like pork. That's my favorite meat, pork.
What do you hate?
There's really nothing that I really hate as far as food's taste is concerned. I could pretty well take 3 bites of anything, but one thing I will not eat is hominy. When I was a little girl, I remember this lady saying they cured hominy in lye. And I remember when lye was used to wash clothes and whiten them and things, and that just turned me off of hominy, so I never ate hominy.
I see you have arthritis in your hands. Could you hold your hands up and let us see your fingers? Is that cause any difficulty for you in day-to-day life?
The only thing it does is this finger right here, when I'm putting something down, it'll get hung on the handle and it'll spill. But no, I don't let it handicap me at all. The fact is, I give perms still. In fact is, I've got a perm to give probably next week. So I mean, no, I don't let it handicap me at all. I get to the sewing machine. There's only one thing. One day I got my finger caught under the needle and it went through my finger and I broke off and I had to pull it out. But no, I don't let nothing stop me.
Do you use any tools to adapt to your daily life?
No, I don't. Now, I do have a walking stick that I take with me when I'm going out to pick up my paper in the morning, because one day I fell out the door and I don't want to take a chance on that, because I know there's nobody to pick me up. Now, if I got down, I couldn't get up, so I just figure that kind of gives me support. No, I don't have to use anything.
Have you always maintained regular medical exams?
Yes, I have.
Pap smears, breast
Yes.
exams, so forth?
Yes, every year.
Do you take any vitamins or supplements?
I'm supposed to. Yeah, I take them sometimes. I take that something senior.
Central?
I think so. Simply senior something. I forgot the name of it.
How about home remedies? Have you ever used any home remedies?
Yeah, when I was a little girl, as I was telling you earlier, that my mother had died. Well, my stepmother, but she was the only mother I knew, so I call her mother. And Steve Jr. had asthma. There was an old colored woman lived behind us, and she told me to make a poultice for him, and out of collard leaves. And I didn't know what she's talking about, so when Daddy came home from work one day, I had collard leaves all over him, and he didn't know what it was all about, but I told him that colored woman told me to do that. And another thing she did, so this must be old remedies that they used, because she had made a little bag and put some aspidity in it. Whatever that is, I'll never know. But she called it aspidity. And she put it in a little bag and tied it around his neck to keep him from having asthma, to keep him so he could breathe. And I don't know what that is, but she also put sulfur poultice, that's what it was, under the collard leaves.
So that was her mojo, huh?
That was her mojo, and I didn't know no better. I wasn't but 10 years old, so what was I to know?
Do you have any musical abilities?
I don't have any musical abilities. I like to sing. My sister and I used to sing on the radio when we were kids in North Carolina. We sang on the WPTF, Raleigh, North Carolina. The call letters was "We Protect the Family," WPTF.
Well, why don't you throw one out there for us, Miss Jane?
What you want me to do? You want me to yodel for you?
Sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I wanna be a cowboy, sweetheart. I wanna learn to rope and to ride. I wanna ride on the plains and the deserts, all over the countryside. I wanna hear the coyotes howling. I wanna sing the song I love best. I wanna sing a song and yodel-a-dee, yodel the way I love best. Yodel-a-dee, 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 yodel-a-doo, yodel-a-dee, yodel-a-dee, yodel-a-doo, yodel-a-dee,
Oh, that was lovely. Thank you. Do you have any favorite books or stories?
Oh, I have been reading this books on quilting that Jennifer Chiaverini wrote. She has a whole series. My daughter-in-law Marilyn gave me a couple one year for Christmas and got me started reading them, and I have really enjoyed them. Marilyn is my son Jimmy's wife, and she reads a lot, and I think she knew about what I would like to read. So I just finished one just yesterday. When you get in it, you can't stop. Yes, I read a lot. I like to read Christian books. I read the Bible, um, but she is my favorite author. I like to read that. I don't like to read smut and junk.
You have any favorite stories?
Like what?
Well, I don't know. Do you tell any stories?
No, I don't tell stories. I might lie a little bit, but I don't really tell stories. No. Um, we used to make up stories when we were kids. We'd sit around the fireplace in the wintertime, and it would be real, real cold. And we would take our blankets and hold in front of the fireplace to get warm, and then we'd wrap up in it and run to the bed. But sometimes we'd sit around there at night by ourselves, and we would tell ghost stories. And the scarier you could tell, the worse it'd be. And I don't think I ever remember sleeping when I was a little girl with my head uncovered. So today I still sleep with my shoulders covered. I can't sleep without something over me.
You're 81 years old.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice that you'd like to give young people today?
Yes, I definitely do. Today is one of the worst generations that we've had for lost morals and respect. They have no respect for authority, no respect for anybody, no respect for their mother, their daddy, or anybody. To me, that is a secret. It's like I told my children when they were coming up. I said, I don't care if you don't love me, but you're going to respect me. Because I feel like if you respect somebody or respect yourself, that love will come later. Or you can't be too bad if you respect people. At least people. Anybody.
You look fairly slim and trim. Have you always been able to maintain your weight, or have you ever had a weight
Oh,
problem?
I've always had a weight problem. I'm what you call the yo-yo. I'm up, now I'm down. I've done everything to lose weight, but I'm not doing anything now, and it's just gone. I guess it might be my age, but with the pacemaker, maybe I don't. With the medicine I take, I don't have the appetite I used to have. But when I have a beauty shop, there's always somebody to bring you something good in, sweets or candy or something, and you know you have to eat.
What's the heaviest you've ever been?
Oh, probably about 220.
Have you ever fallen?
Not actually without something tripping me. Only time I did was when I fell out the front door, and that was kind of an accident. I was going out to get the paper, and I put my walking stick down, and when I did, instead of hitting the step, I hit the ground with it, and I went down with it. So that's, as far as falling, no, I haven't fallen unless something would trip me.
What's your social life like?
Oh, my social life is so busy, I don't have time to even do what I want to do. I've got friends that come in from Arkansas. The fact is, I had a friend that just left. I've got a friend in Baton Rouge. She always calls me to go out to eat with her. I belong to a quilting club in Plaquemine, but I haven't been going lately because I hurt my neck when I fell and haven't been able to drive very well. And my son Jimmy's been taking me around when I need to go shopping and things. Thank God for him. But I've got a real big social life. The fact is, I have a calendar. I have to write down if somebody wants to go somewhere or do something with me. I say, well, let me pencil you in so I'll be sure. So my son Stanley and his wife Sheila in Baton Rouge, they're going to take me to Branson this Christmas in December. And my son Jimmy, he's always over here taking me places. And I am just blessed to have good children. I have 5, 2 girls and 3 boys. And without them, I would be nothing.
Has your social life always been very active?
Oh, yes. I'm a people person. When I was younger, I always had friends. In fact is, I got reacquainted with a friend I had over 50 years ago when I lived in Birmingham, Alabama. And it was through her that I met my son Jimmy's daddy. And somehow or another, my son's Ronnie Register had gone down and met her son, that they used to be chums when they were younger. And he gave her my phone number and said, call my mom. And she did, and I like to fall out of bed. And so my son Jimmy and my daughter Dawn said, Mother, you need to go down and see her. So we got in the car and took off, and we went to see, because I didn't know anything hardly about my husband Waite's family, because we were only married 5 years when he got killed, and he had two brothers. So we went down to see both of the wives of the two brothers, May Waits and Phyllis Waits. And so Jimmy and Dawn went with me, and that was a pleasant trip. And my friend Theresa Van, that is one of my oldest friends that I've had. Yes, I keep a friend. If I have a friend, I keep a friend. But to me, to have a friend, you have to be a friend. You have to be a friend to have a friend. You cannot throw a good friend away. I mean, sometimes you get disagreements, sometimes you have problems, and sometimes you had bad days. But then the other person may have a bad day too, so sometimes if you'll just cool it for a little while, keep in touch. If you don't do anything but write a letter or a card once in a while, let them know you're still thinking about them.
Are you a member of any social groups or organizations?
No, not really. I don't belong to the quilt club anymore. I used to belong to the Hairdressers Association. I belong to the quilt club, the Quilt Guild in Baton Rouge. But I don't belong to anything right now. My Sunday school class is the only organization that I'm affiliated with now.
While we're talking about religion, has religion and faith always played an important part in your life?
Very important. Very, very important in my life. When I was young, it's one thing my daddy always did, even when we were by ourselves. He always saw to it that we went to church. And he would always have someone in the neighborhood to drive us, because we were too young to drive. So we always went to church. He saw to it. And that's one thing that I've always kept positive, is my faith. And without that, I don't think I could have made it. And one night, when I was living in Birmingham, going to beauty school with all 5 children, and my baby was a year and a half old then. She was about 2.5 then. One night I just had so many problems. My shoulders were so heavy, I just couldn't hardly sleep at night. And so I just told God I was going to put my problem on the step. I picked him up the next morning, and that's what I did.
We've already talked about food likes and dislikes. Do you have any other likes and dislikes?
Other likes and dislikes. Not too many dislikes. I hate a liar. And as far as food is concerned, no. I like most everybody. And I'll treat anybody fair that'll treat me fair. And I don't have any arguments with anybody that I know of. I try to treat people like I want to be treated. And if you do that, you can't go wrong, I don't think.
Have animals and pets ever played an important part in your life?
Not really. When we were kids, we had a dog, and a man run over the dog and throwed it in our front yard. I never got attached to an animal after that. I just couldn't.
Tell me a little bit about your early home life. You had indoor plumbing?
Yeah, we had, no, not early, no. But, because my daddy was a railroad man, we moved a lot. So we moved from one city to the other. I went to as many as 6 schools in 1 year. So, some houses we'd live in, you could spit through the floor. The cracks were so big. Other houses were nice. A few of them had plumbing, some of them didn't. More did than didn't.
You were born in 1926.
25.
25. A lot of technological advances and inventions have happened since then. Can you name a few that have impressed you the most?
I think the computers impressed me the most. I have gotten to be a computer whiz. I took a class at Cajun Clickers, and that really intrigues me. But I think television is one thing. Radio's always been, music's always been something that I have enjoyed. I don't think I could get along without my faith and my music. Those are 2 things that I've got to have in my life.
When did you get interested in computing?
My son came over and gave my daughter Dorita a computer, my son Stanley and his wife. They had one. And they gave it to my daughter Dorita. She was staying here with me at that time. She and her husband had passed away. And so she was living here with me. And she didn't want to fool with it. So I got playing around with it. First thing you know, I've done bought me two since then.
Has humor been an important part of your life?
Yes, indeed, humor has. I like to laugh, and I don't like to be around people that's always sad or got complaints or they depressing. You know, life is too depressing already. You got to have something that brings you up.
You have a favorite funny joke or story you like to tell?
Can't think of anything right now.
Well, if you think of it, let me know. How about some of your favorite songs?
Well, I had a friend named Tense Holcomb. Her name was Hortense, but they called her Tense Holcomb. And she and I used to sing together all the time in Birmingham, and we harmonized. And she called me one day and she said, "Oh, Jean, I just got through hearing this beautiful song, and you've got to hear it." So she sang it to me. And then I heard it. I can pretty well, I've got an ear for music, and I can hear it once, twice, and I can pick up the tune. And so next thing you know, we were harmonizing. It was "Evening Shadows Make You Blue." That was one. I like that kind of music.
Do you have a favorite holiday?
My favorite holiday is Christmas. I love Christmas. I love to give. I love to have my family around. I don't like anybody griping and complaining about anything, and I try to keep everybody happy. And yeah, Christmas is my favorite because that's the birth of Christ. That's the important thing in our life.
If you could sum up a few special topics over the last 81 years, could you just kind of tell us a little bit about them?
Such as?
I don't know. It's up to you. It's your life.
Topics. Give me
Things that have impressed you, things that you'd like to gripe about, things that you enjoy, anything.
Well, the only thing I can gripe about is those commercials on television with them men hollering about cars all the time. Can't stand that. That's a pet peeve with me.
What do you do about them?
I mute them. I don't listen to them. I don't have to. That's my television. I'm paying for it. And I hate people calling on the telephone trying to sell you something. I'm paying that telephone bill. That's my business. I don't want nobody selling me anything because I'm not going to buy anything over the phone anyhow. If I see something I want, I go buy it, but you can't sell me nothing on the phone.
Have you thought of a favorite joke or story yet?
Not yet.
Well, that's just about all of the questions that I have for you, Miss Jane. Is there anything else that you'd like to add to this?
Yes, you didn't ask me how many grandchildren I had.
How many grandchildren you got?
I think I got about 16. And I think I got about, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I got about 10 or 12 great-grandchildren.
Well, I'm going to give you a tough one. Can you name them all?
Pretty well. Okay, I'll start with Jimmy's, Dorita's. Dorita's my first one. There's Troy. He's my grandson. Your grandson or great-grandchildren? Grandchildren? Troy, Sean, and Becky. They're Smith children. That's my daughter Dorita's. And my Stanley, my oldest son Stanley Register has got 2 children. There's Cade and Amanda. Ronnie's got 4 children. They're Chad, Corey, Craig, and Kelly. Jimmy's got 4 children. They're Jamie, Jody, Heather, and Sarah. And Dawn's got 3 children. That's Duska, Jade, and Dylan.
How about the grandchildren?
Those are grandchildren.
Those are your grandchildren.
Those my grandchildren.
How about their children?
Okay, those children. My son Ronnie has no great grandchildren. He
Yeah.
just
That would be your great-great-grandchildren.
Ronnie don't have any great grand. None of his children's got. Wait a minute. Yeah, yeah. You're right. Great grandchildren. Chad's got 4. So my son Rhonda's got 4. Stanley doesn't have any. That was getting confused. Stanley doesn't have any grandchildren. His children not married yet. My son Jimmy's got 2. He's got 2 sons, 2 great grandsons. I mean 2 grandsons, which my great grandson. And my daughter Dawn's got 2 granddaughters, which is great grandchildren. Is that all? I think so.
I think so.
That pretty well sums it up.
Yeah, you have anything else that you'd like to add to this video?
Not really. If I can think of something, I'll let you know. But right now, I don't think.
Well, I sure appreciate you taking your time to tell us a little bit about your life and allowing me to come over here and tape record the conversation.
Well, I'm just sorry that my voice wasn't up to par. I haven't sang in a while, and a yodel has been. You have to really keep practice in order to yodel, and I don't think that was too good. So if you want to scratch it, you do that.
Who's your favorite singing partner?
My favorite singing partner was my sister Shirley. Our voice when we sang, it sounded like a bell that just rang together. Our voice just merged.
And what was one of the favorite songs that you and Shirley used to sing?
We used to sing a lot of hymns and a lot of songs that were popular at that time. Really, I can't remember right now, but most of it was country western. But then Shirley went to LSU and took voice lessons, so then she was too good to sing country western after that. So.
Well, I sure appreciate you taking your time today. Thank you very much.
Okay, Jim. Thank you so much for doing it. If you find something bad now you scratch it, please don't let nobody else hear it.
All right.